Hello and welcome to my thematic connections presentation on my chosen novel, which is Beartown by Frederick Backman. First off, for a little bit of context, Beartown is about a town in Sweden that loves hockey and then has to reevaluate his thinking after one of its star hockey players, Kevin Erdahl, who the town had a lot of hope for, rapes a girl named Maya Anderson. The accusation affects everyone in Beartown, and initially everyone takes Kevin's side, but as Beartown learns about what actually happened, the town stands together and comes together for Maya and stands up to do the right thing, even though it knows it'll cost the hockey team and the money necessary to help it grow. And this is a quote from the novel that I thought was very powerful and leads into my first observed theme, which is community. And the reason I chose community as one of my themes is because Beartown explores the effect of having an entire community on the shoulders of one person, and more specifically, that just means having the expectations of an entire community on one sole person is very, very difficult to bear. And secondly, Beartown explores the effect of having your entire community against you alternatively. And more specifically, that goes into man versus society, and how you have to go against your community in order to do the right thing. And finally, the novel asks the question constantly, what is a community? And the novel really says more specifically that communities should come together and stand for what's right. Now, my first thematic connection to Beartown by Frederick Backman is The Whispering Town, which is a children's book by Jennifer Elfgren, and it has that connection that a community should come together, stand for what's right. And in this book, it's about a community helping two Danish Jews escape to Sweden during the Holocaust, even if getting caught will cost the town everything. And this connects to the town standing for Maya after what happened. Now, my second connection is a digital image from Discover Wildlife of a salmon going uphill against a waterfall. And this has that connection that sometimes you have to go against the community for the greater good. And it connects to Maya accusing Kevin, even though she knows that Beartown is a hockey town. And thirdly, my third connection is the novel The Beginning of Everything by Robin Schneider. And it has that thematic connection between characters Ezra and Kevin, that the pressure of having a community on your shoulders is very, very difficult. Ezra, in The Beginning of Everything, is an expected homecoming king and a varsity tennis captain, and his life gets absolutely turned upside down, and he feels the pressure of having to bear everyone's expectations, just how Kevin, who couldn't handle those difficulties. And my fourth connection is a pastel painting called Unity by Ajaz Sayed, and that thematic connection is that a community should come together and stand for what's right, just how the community came together for Maya after learning the truth about what happened in Beartown. And just in this picture, it's the three hands of the community coming up and lifting that one hand out, coming together and standing together for that one person. And my fifth connection is an online video.
Something where there's kind of like a social pact.
You know, you're part of a bigger thing.
I think we're all supposed to live in community, so one where we actually are together. To me, that's community.
And that thematic connection is just that a community should come together and stand for what's right, just how that guy said that you're part of a bigger thing. And this film by Thornton Place explores people's belief of what community really means, and it kind of ties in with what the book was saying about what a community really is, just like how the town came together for Maya, their belief of a higher meaning for community. And here's another quote from the novel that I think it's very powerful and leads into my second observed theme, which is power. And the reason I chose this as a theme is that in the novel, many characters have opportunities to use their power over others, whether it's physical or intellectual. And the novel really explores into how someone uses their power that determines the type of person they are. Now, my first connection for this is the novel The One and Only Ivan by Catherine Applegate. And it connects to how someone uses their power. And in this novel, Ivan, the silverback gorilla, uses his power, whether it's intellect or literally being a gorilla, to try and protect Ruby, a baby elephant, who Stella, another elephant, didn't want to grow up in the circus at the mall. And this connects most closely to Bobo, who used his physical power to protect Matt when his teammates tried to hurt him. Now, my second connection is an oil painting, which is Two Paths by Hunter Ed. And this painting kind of represents that choice that each character had when they had to choose how to use their power. So just how in this painting, how there's two paths and there's two choices to make, just how the characters in the story had to make a decision on how to use their power. And it will have the consequences just like how the path will have different ways of going. My third connection is My Name is Asher Lev, a novel by Chaim Podock. And in this novel, Asher Lev is a Jewish artist, but being honest about his art estranged him from the world and the parents he adores. Now, he chose to use his power and be honest for the greater good. Just how, and that was really challenging for him, just how Matt being honest about what happened in the novel was very difficult for him and estranged him from his teammates. My fourth connection is from one of my favorite video games of all time, Infamous. And the protagonist of Infamous gains the power of electricity and has to choose how to use it. And this is a video game developed by Sucker Punch. And in these decisions, Cole can either use his powers for good and often sacrifice himself, or for evil and be selfish. And we're going to see an example of this. And in this clip, Cole decides not to use his powers for the good of everybody else and sacrifice himself and food for himself. And this connects most closely to Bobo using his power to protect Matt, sacrificing his own well-being for Matt's. And my fifth connection to the theme of is how someone uses their power that determines the type of person they are. I have a Jordan Peterson excerpt of one of his talks. And here he talks about the phrase, "the meek shall inherit the earth," from the New Testament, and how meek more means those who have power for force but choose not to use it, and that how they are really in the correct moral position. This connects closely to Maya having the power to kill Kevin but choosing not to, and speaks to her character.
The earth, but I was looking up the multiple translations of the word meek, and meek is actually derived from a Greek word, of course, because the Bible, at least some of the original forms of the Bible, were in Greek. And that word didn't exactly mean meek. It meant something like those who have weapons and the ability to use them, but determined to keep them sheathed, will inherit the world. And that means that people who are capable of force, let's say, but decide not to use it, are in the proper moral position. And Nietzsche.
Now, going into my third observed theme, here's another quote that I believe is very powerful from the text, speaking about loyalty. And the reason I chose loyalty for another theme is that in the novel, Kevin's teammates show hate for Maya for accusing Kevin of rape, and show hate towards Matt by trying to physically beat him up after telling the truth. And what the novel is trying to say more specifically about this theme is that loyalty can often cause people to become blind and irrational. And my first connection is from the Animal Farm film and the novel from George Orwell. And in the novel, Boxer continues to help the pigs out of loyalty to them because they freed him from the other owner, but he's blind to the fact that they turned evil, just how the hockey team was blind to the fact that Kevin and they were in the wrong. They weren't able to realize that because of their loyalty to Kevin.
Boxer was the admiration of everybody. He had been a hard worker in Jones's time, but now he seemed more like 3 horses in one.
And my second connection to this theme, that loyalty can cause people to become blind or irrational, is a cartoon from the website steamit.com from AJ Kumar 4. And the people in this cartoon are following the next person blindly and being loyal to that person's direction. And you can see that they're visibly shaky and they're very unstable in that line because they can't see. And if they were able to step away from the line and take their blindfold off, they'd be able to see where they're going and be more stable. This connects again to the hockey team being in the wrong without even realizing it because they were so loyal to Kevin. My third connection is a poem by Raiden Crow called Blind Loyalty. And this is again about how blind loyalty maybe isn't even friendship that much. And it kind of more relates to the character of Benji, who stepped away and realized that Kevin was in the wrong and realized what actually happened. And he was not afraid to tell Kevin, like it says in the poem, "You are being dumb," where the teammates of Kevin were extremely loyal to him and didn't step away to say, maybe you're being dumb here. And my fourth connection is from a famous painting by Franz Marc, Dog Lying in the Snow. And this more connects through the symbol of the dog, which has undying loyalty, which connects to Kevin's teammates being loyal to him even though he's doing something wrong. Like dogs, they wouldn't be able to realize if you're doing something wrong, they're just undyingly loyal. And my last connection is an excerpt from Hamlet in the 1996 film about that loyalty can cause people to become blind and irrational, just like how Hamlet in this play, his loyalty to his dead father caused him to seek revenge against his uncle even though he didn't have solid proof, just how Kevin's teammates want to seek revenge against Maya in a mat even though they didn't really have that solid proof.
Mark, so uncle. There you are. Now to my word. It is adieu. Adieu.
And that concludes my thematic connections presentation, and here's a list of all of my works cited. Thank you.